What's up everyone, and welcome back to Fiction to Review. Brought to you by my self-published book, Rain. It is a psychological thriller about a group of young adults in a psych ward who get this new counselor that's trying to understand their mental illnesses and trying to understand them. But then the counselor shortly learns that these kids might not be crazy and that this place is actually making them crazy, all the while trying to figure out what's going on with him and his psychological demons and his problems. If you would like more information about this book, be sure to hit the link in the description box below. Supporting me and buying these books actually helps me to run this channel, so be sure to check that out, and let's start. So today we're going to talk about one of the best shows of all time, Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones Season 1 came out in 2011, and you can watch this on HBO. It is a drama. It was written by George R.R. Martin. And George R.R. Martin's best-selling book series, A Song of Ice and Fire, is brought to the screen as HBO sinks its considerable storytelling teeth into the medieval fantasy epic. It's a depiction of two powerful families, kings and queens, knights and renegades, liars and honest men, playing a deadly game for control of the Seven Kingdoms of Westeros and to sit atop the Iron Throne. Martin is credited as a co-executive producer and one of the writers for the series, whose shooting locations including Northern Ireland, Malta, Croatia, and Spain. The cast: Emilia Clarke as Daenerys Targaryen, Sophie Turner as Sansa Stark, Kit Harington as Jon Snow, Maisie Williams as Arya Stark, Lena Headey as Cersei Lannister, Peter Dinklage as Tyrion Lannister, Jason Momoa as Khal Drogo, Nicolja Coster-Waldau as Jaime Lannister. God, there's so many people in the show. Richard Madden as Robb Stark, Aidan Gillian as Peter Baelish, Jack Gleeson as Joffrey, Sean Bean as Eddard Stark, Alfred Allen as Theon Greyjoy, and Isaac Hempstead as Bronn Stark. So the opening scene, we get this opening with the men of the Night's Watch, and already there's some action. So we get this introduction of the Starks, the Lannisters, and the Targaryens. So let's first talk about the Starks. So the Starks really value honor. Eddard Stark, the father, he values honor. Even though he had a child out of wedlock, he feels really guilty about it. There's a scene like beginning to midway in the first episode where they find there's dead direwolf, and I took it as the direwolf is a foreshadowing of the death of Ned Stark and Catelyn Stark. And the pups are the Stark children that are left behind, who kind of have to fend for themselves. And it could represent either one of the parents. First, the white wolf, Jon actually ended up getting that one because he is considered the bastard child. That was a really good foreshadowing. Then we get an intro of the Lannisters. We can see in comparison to the Starks, the Lannisters don't really have that close-knitted connection, that family bond, how the Starks do. And they are more wealthy and they are worshipped and respected because of their wealth, but their relationship in comparison to the Starks, who you can see are really a family, really love each other, is not as strong. The only people that actually really love each other in the Lannisters are the siblings, Jaime and Cersei. But you can see that Robert Baratheon really loves Ned more than he loves Cersei, more than he cares about anybody else, and you could tell that they really have history and a strong bond, and Ned really honors loyalty and really honors the law. And even though he didn't want to really do this, he still did it because that was his friend. And Robert kind of pressured him, but Ned could have said no, but there was that whole expectation because we're friends, we have history, and because we fought together previously in wars, that you have to do this. Then we get to Daenerys. Daenerys is basically a pet, a slave, a commodity that her brother uses to get an army, and he sells her off to this guy, and the guy ultimately becomes her husband and rapes her. But this show, incest, rape, morals out the window, none of that stuff matters. And then we get to Bran, who is pushed out of the window ultimately because he saw the two siblings, the Lannister siblings, having sex. I really enjoyed this episode. I like how there was that cliffhanger at the end of the first pilot to really pull us in. The visual effects were really good with the snow. And overall, I enjoyed it. So overall, great pilot episode. Really pulled everybody in, and I think that's how we all got hooked to this show. So let's get into episode 2. When Tyrion slaps Joffrey, it gave me life. Like, it does something to me. I was like, yes, I hate this kid. He was like, I'm telling mother. And it's like, Tyrion really don't. Let me tell you something about Tyrion. Like, when I tell you Tyrion gets the glow up from season 1, it's like, Tyrion starts getting this glow up, and like, I know he's an imp and he's probably not the best looking guy on the show, but he's the smartest, he's the cleverest. His family comes from money. Like, Tyrion is low-key, high-key bae. Like, he just be making boss moves and he just doesn't care. And also, he takes control of all his imperfections. Like, he just don't care. Like, he doesn't care if you're bigger than him, if you're taller. Like, you would not out clever Tyrion. He doesn't care how strong or big you are. That's the brain. It doesn't matter who you are, he will outsmart you, he will outwit you. I love the scene where he tells the Hound, because the Hound is like, you know, here he's gonna punish you, he's gonna get you for that. And Tyrion is like, oh, make sure you be a good dog and remind him. His confidence is just like, this is me and I don't care. What you gonna do? I did also think it was pretty interesting that in that episode, Cersei was upset at Tyrion because he was talking about the brothel house, and she was like, discussing this filth to my children. And I'm just like, you really want to talk about filth, Cersei? Don't even try it. Don't. Please stop. We also come to realize that Joffrey is nothing just but a punk little bitch. And he only picks on people that he can. Arya's ready to whoop him, and we learn that, and Ned sort of comes to this realization that, oh, like, what did I get myself into? And Bran finally wakes up. So let's get into episode 3. So episode 3, I will say, this is when I realized, yeah, I hate the Lannisters, I don't like Joffrey, but I can't deny their swag. Like, whoever does the costume design for the Lannisters and the Starks, on point. They should get so much credit. They should definitely be credited, acknowledged, because the costume design is so on point. There was, in this episode, I think Joffrey had like on this long draped thick red and gold like button up, and I was like, I need that wardrobe. Like, Joffrey the flyest in the land. Cersei in this episode is a perfect example of why young boys grow up to be the way that they are and become trash, because she's trash, and they need to just bring the whole garbage truck and just dump them both in there for what she told him at that table. It was funny to watch Jaime and Ned kind of go back and forth. Jaime really tried to come for Ned in this episode, but Ned came back with a, you know, you stabbed him in the back, and Jaime's like, if I would have stabbed him in the stomach, would it have been differently? And it really questions, it really highlights the fact that the Lannisters will go to any lengths to do anything. They don't care who they betray. They don't care about morals, honor, none of that. That's all out the window. And how Ned really cares about that and really hones in on that. It also tells about, I guess, the times that they come from and who they are as characters. Man, the council is so fake. Oh my goodness. The council is nothing but fake people. Ed gets this look in his eye where he sees Arya like working and playing with her sword, and I think this is when she started taking lessons, and he looks as if like, oh man, like what did I get her into, or what is she gonna become type look, like worried, just very worried. Then we get to episode 5 and lose Jorah, and honestly it's kind of Lady Stark's fault because nobody told her to leave and go do X, Y, and Z. And I'm just so upset that any of the Starks left. I'm mad that Robert Baratheon came, and like, no, they should have just let them stay where they was at, because they messed up everything. Everything trickled and had a cause and effect, and man. But we lose Jorah, and Lady Stark, she kidnaps Tyrion. She ends up at her sister's place. Her sister, now why her sister had this 11-year-old grown man sucking on her boob. I'm like, yo, what the hell? Okay, but I do like to imitate the little boy when he does that. I do like when he's like, "Mommy, I want to see the bad man fly, fly." I couldn't get over the fact that this grown 11-year-old boy was just sucking on her boob like he was a dang baby. Then we get to Varys and Littlefinger. I love their beef. I love their petty beef. I love Varys. He's sinister and sly. Littlefinger, he be a little pervy sus, but you gotta hand it to them. Like, their slyness kept them alive that long, and their slickness and their beef is hilarious. I'm here for it. I'm here for the mess. Just mess. Episode 6, poor Ned is forced back into being the Hand, and you can tell that Robert, like I said, Robert does care about him, but he shows it in a very kind of harsh way. But that's also who he is as a person. And also there's a point where Theon saves Bran, and Rob is a little hard on Theon because it's like, you would be dead, Bran would be dead without you saving him. Put a little bit of respect, like give him some sort of credit. And it shows how you can see Theon gets annoyed because they're basically his captors, and he feels like, you know, I'm not a slave, they're not my captors. But like, slowly I think that's where it started happening for Theon's character, where he's like, I'm tired of this. And you know, we all know what happens after that. Not gonna spoil it, but we know. And of course in this episode, Cersei and Jaime get it on. Cersei is just unattractive. Like, internally, it just makes her look even worse. Also, I couldn't figure out, how did Robert Baratheon not know that these were not his children? Okay, first of all, when Ned Stark read that book, it said a brown hair Baratheon, a brown hair, this, brown hair. And like, all these children have gold hair. They don't look nothing like him. And I'm just like, how did he not know this? I'm also surprised that these kids did not turn out like with disabilities, because as far as physical disabilities, because they're incest babies. But oh, we do learn that something is surely wrong with these kids. More so, something was wrong with Joffrey. We surely learn. We come to the end of this episode, Ned does something that just messes up everything. He told Cersei what he knew, and that was one of the biggest mistakes that he could have possibly made. Telling your enemy what you know, that was a big mistake, especially being there, playing the Game of Thrones, being there with those people who are not his family, who are not his people. Like, you were in marked territory. Like, even you told Arya, like, it's not safe here. That was one of his biggest mistakes that he did, and it's so sad because he never really wanted to be there. Like, he never wanted to be a part of that. And Cersei's like, when you play the Game of Thrones, you win. But it's like, he don't want to play the Game of Thrones. He's not one of those people. He don't want to play the game. He was just there doing something for his friend. And man. Episode 7, the betrayal, the ultimate betrayal, man. Ned deserves so much better. He's betrayed. Robert dies. He ends up in jail. His days are numbered. Episode 8, Rob takes his father's place. He has to grow up. Look at Rob growing into becoming a man. But you know, he's the king in the north. They get rid of Sir Lannisters, this guy here. And it was messed up because he fought for them so long, and then it was kind of a disrespect, and he's just like, I could slice all y'all at once if I really wanted to. And I kind of wish that he did. Another thing in this episode is that all the townspeople, all the people were like looking at Sansa and discussing. I'm just like, she's a child. Like, no matter what her father did, which was lies anyway, but it's like, I hate those people in the King's Landing. They were all trash too. Their days were coming. Episode 9. Tragic, tragic, tragic. They kill Ned. I'm speechless. Even though he sat there and lied, and he did it for his daughters, and Joffrey, psychotic self, still decided he was going to chop his neck off. It's like, even though he said that, it didn't mean and I really wish he would have just told the truth. But I also feel like even if he told the truth, it wouldn't have mattered. He would have got killed and people wouldn't have believed it anyway. Because like I said, the people in King's Landing, like, something's wrong with those people anyway. Yep, I bawled this episode. I remember first ever watching this and thinking like, oh, he's gonna be the main character, he's not gonna die. Nope. Every time I watch this episode over and over and over, I just get emotional. I'm sad about the whole thing. Ned accepted his fate. Everything went silent. He looked out. He didn't see Arya anymore. She was trying to run to him. I mean, just imagine if Arya would have just ran to him and just killed Joffrey. That would have been crazy. And that starts the trajectory of Game of Thrones. That's when, you know, that set the tone for the Starks, you know. So episode 10, Queen Daenerys finally becomes the mother of dragons. She walks into the pits of fire. Her eggs hatch. Jon takes the pledge. It's showtime. Season 2, baby. It is on. So like I said, costume design was great. Loved the Lannisters and the Starks costume design. Loved the season. Great season 1. So many emotions, to excitement, to anger, to sadness, to just like agony. And I definitely recommend this show. Definitely go watch it. If you want me to review season 2, please hit that like button. Be sure to comment below. Let me know who's your favorite family. And also be sure to hit that notification bell to get notified for future videos. Be sure to hit me up at fictiontea12@gmail.com to get attached to my email list. And be sure to link the description box for get a copy of my book to support this channel.